welcome back. I hope you're having a good day. I got one of my Medi cuttings. I call these about magic marker size. They're getting a little bit bigger than that, but not much. It's maybe a little bit bigger than the size of my thumb. It has gotten really long branches on here, and obviously it's doing the tropical thing of just like sticking straight up. It's still early November. I'm sorry, pardon me. Early October here in Florida. I got plenty of time to work it, so I'm going to cut all these longer growing tips off. I do have a couple of little small branches that kind of poked out here that I think will be useful one day. I'm going to try to just work around them as much as possible. I am going to take out a couple of these that kind of came out in a couple bad spots. This with the knob cutters just a little bit. This is going to be kind of an awkward spot here where this branch is actually higher than this one, but this is kind of acting like the apex. I don't know if you guys can kind of see it, but this branch is actually the highest one, but it's kind of growing out like it's a branch. This branch is kind of growing straight up like it wants to be the leader, and nothing's coming out of the chop scar on the top. So I don't know, I'll let time kind of decide what's going to happen there. One of these may have to go. This may become the leader, but it's already kind of bent that way in a mature kind of a way, in that's not really young where I can make that the leader or whatever, but we'll just see. These are little small cuttings. I'm just kind of having a little bit of fun with them and stuff. So I am going to cut all the tips off. Feel like I've been boring you guys to death with some of these, just kind of wiring up small trees or whatever. So I think this will be one. I'll go ahead and just hang on to this until it starts back budding again and everything, and it should look really nice. And it should give me something to do in mid-November when I'm kind of running out of other things to do. And I'll just include that in one update or whatever. I cut the main tips off. I'm going to leave a couple of these secondary ones. This one already had a couple secondary branches coming off of it. I'll leave those growing tips. No sense in slowing down all the momentum. This one had a little too. That one's coming right off the top, so I'll take that one. That one's kind of off to the side-ish. I might be able to wire that one down one day. This one's significantly smaller than the rest. Hindsight's 20/20, and of course, now that I look at it, I might have wanted to have just left that, but I can actually see where it's got a little sprout there too. Hopefully that takes off. I can leave that. That'll help kind of thicken that trunk up a little bit. Go ahead and wire these two together. And then these two together, and then these together there. I do want to try to leave these two alone. They're really close to the crotch. You don't want them in the crotch, but they're on opposite sides, and they're not right up on top of each other. So I'd like to try to leave them. So, go up on this guy. And so the wire's on there. I didn't talk while I was wiring. I said it's going to be a while before this guy is something. I really have started to kind of appreciate keeping these smaller, size trees more than the other ones. Just simply, they're so much more easier to move around. Huge, gargantuan, trees in pots that's so impressive, but the pots are more expensive. Everything's just a lot more work about them. Take up a lot more room in the yard. So there really are a lot of advantages to trying to keep the smaller trees. Thought I'd be able to get like a bend and a half in that, but every time I try to go back, it takes the other bend out. So I'll just have to get one good bend in that one. If this stays the apex, I'll probably go ahead and try to put it over that chop scar a little bit more, but I'm trying to maybe open that wound up a little bit. Now, when you do that, you start to get a feel. See, that was all dead wood at first when I first hit it. Now I can see that sap pouring out of there. So you guys probably couldn't see that as well. I just took that chop scar off. I got down to where I can actually see sap coming out. Maybe I might get a bud to pop there since I just pruned it aggressively and it's still healthy. I'll either wire that down or just cut it off and let the new leader come out of there where it should be. But for right now, I'm just going to kind of bend it that way some, in case it does have to be the leader. And then, see, I really just trying to keep these from being anything but just telephone poles straight for right now. I haven't really even thought about where I want my front or anything like that. Just trying to make it to where everything's not sticking straight up. Yeah, like I said, I won't post this until I can give you guys an update, and I'll see you then. Alright, it has been exactly 2 months since the beginning of that video. When I had done it, I had originally meant to kind of just hang on to that video and do an update on it, but I noticed when this branch and this one, and then it was a couple out here on this longer one too, that had started to get, I left some of that just mainly so that it would recover from the work I did and everything. And I noticed they were getting really big. And just one day, just kind of, because when I go out there, I have my pruners with me sometimes. And I cut them off. And then I actually remembered that I was supposed to do the update. So I decided to wait a little while longer for the update. And so now here I am. You can see, you might be able to see that sometimes in the midsummer when I do these cuts, it'll actually get a branch coming out of each node where there's a leaf. These are mostly just getting a node out of the end there, and it's starting to look out of balance with some of the really huge leaves on there. So I'm just going to go ahead and take some of those off. The plant is still relying on some of the energy from the big older leaves, so it's not really growing out the new leaves like it should. See the new leaf there. And then the old leaves are back there just kind of still doing their job. So it doesn't really have that need to grow more like it does sometimes when it back buds and everything out of the top of the branches and things like that. But for 2 months of growth, that's pretty good, especially considering that now I do believe today is December 11th. And that first video was shot October 11th. So this wire's been on for a couple months. You can see it's getting tight in a couple spots, but it's still pretty good. When I go to take this wire off, it really should be a nice looking beginning of a tree by then. I was looking at some things in that. I don't know if I noticed it in the first part of the video or not. There's a lower branch that kind of has this branch that wants to be the apex on it. And then there's an upper branch that kind of comes out here on its own. One of them is probably going to have to go. I am going to leave them both just for today. I may be able to just take that apex off. There is a little small branch coming out right there. I wish one would come right out of that scar. If one would come right out of that scar, I'd just let that go for a while and let that be the apex and let these two be lower branches. But that's about it for today. And again, just a little chance to give you an update of what it looks like a couple months later. Here in almost wintertime Florida. Nice and warm today, 80 some degrees, beautiful day outside. Hope you're having a good one.